At least mechanical issues didn't ruin it this time. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of what is the Rowdy Roundup after the Busch Crash at the Coliseum. And, it was an interesting one. Was the race good? I don't know. So, let's get right into it. Let's start with a bit of an overview of the race. Like I said, no mechanical problems for the most part. Eric Jones did have a toe link break, though that was caused by an accident and not by someone slamming into the rear end of the car. Kyle Busch and RCR, good run in their first go around. Second and third for Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch. Sign of things to come? I hope so. Ryan Preece with a strong top 10 run in his debut with Stewart-Haas Racing, though it's not really surprising given his background coming up through the modifieds on the short tracks of the Northeast. Tyler Reddick with a good run in his first race for 23XI, a top 10. I think he's going to fit in really well in that 45 this year. Chastain and Hamlin back at it again. They make some contact. Now, I don't know, I haven't seen anything that shows any altercation took place after the race or throughout the race. But it was interesting to see that happen again. Though with Hamlin and speaking of Denny Hamlin, at the end of the race, we might have seen some brief words exchanged between him and William Byron after a last minute collision after the check flag. No, I don't think anything has come of that. Something that dropped on SiriusXM this morning. Kyle Busch had something to say about what happened between him and Joey Logano during the race. Somewhere along the line, I can't play the clip due to copyright issues, but basically along the lines of, I need to get back on the saddle because I owe him a lot, and I think we got to see old Rowdy come back. Overall, the race, it was a good old crash fest. We saw this happen at Daytona when we had it. It wasn't a thing when we were on the road course, but they only ran the road course one time for the Clash. And last year, they had supply chain issues, so they weren't overly aggressive like they were this year. This year, they were all over each other. We had maybe one or two incidents in last year's Clash, like Haley hitting the inside wall of Kyle Larson, a couple of cars going around, a couple of parts broken, especially when they hit each other in the back end. Is this race becoming a gimmick? I don't think so. I mean, it's short track racing. You're going to have contact. But should this be a points paying race, which is something people have been bringing up? California is being reconfigured from the 2 mile to a short track. This year is going to be the last year on the 2 mile layout. Do we see that become a points race to replace that? I would not want to see this as a points race, because if you wanted to do it a points race, you had to find some way to get points to the guys who don't make it out of the heats or chance qualifiers. You can't put all 40 guys on the track at the same time on a quarter mile. They could barely fit all of them, got all 20 or so who were there in the Clash in the first place. What do I want to see as a substitute? I think they should go back to the Daytona road course. This car was designed for road courses. Let's go back to the Daytona road course. If I'm not mistaken, they never tested, apart from the Garage 56 car for Le Mans, this car has not been on the Daytona road course in a specific test, if I'm not mistaken. Because I know they did on the oval, but I don't think they did on the road course. One thing I wonder, will they move the Clash from the Coliseum to the new layout in California at Auto Club? because it's going to be a half-mile short track, basically where the front stretch and pit road are right now. It could be a good idea, could be not. And maybe go back to the original format of pole winners or race winners. Well, race winners, that's the all-star race. So, was this a good race? On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to get a 5, 5.5. Because, well, yes, there were some entertaining battles throughout the race. Just too many cautions. The race dragged out for too long. And I'm glad I got to run under the lights at least, because last year they advertised under the lights and it never ran under the lights. So, going forward to Daytona. I'm going to go ahead and give my picks for Daytona because I'm not going to be doing a show next week because I have things going on. I was originally supposed to be in Daytona until financial things haven't worked out. My Truck Series pick, call me jumping on the bandwagon, Hailie Deegan. This is her year to prove herself. She's finally in top tier Truck Series equipment at ThorSport in that 13 truck. This is her chance to prove it. As for the Xfinity Series, Brandon Jones. JRM is hard to beat at the Super Speedway. So is Calling, don't get me wrong. But Brandon Jones is finally out from the shadow of Ty Gibbs at JGR. I'm hoping we see some good out of him, and hopefully he finally gets a chance to show what kind of a driver he really is. My predictions for the front row for the Daytona 500, Alex Bowman on the pole. And I'm going to throw Kyle Busch on the front row as well. Not because I'm a Kyle Busch fan. Though there might be a little bias in there. But him being at RCR and RCR being kind of tied to Hendrick now, I believe they have the same engines in their cars now. He's going to be very quick on these super speedways. And Bowman, he needs to keep that streak alive. That's why I'm betting on it. Now when it comes to the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, I'm going to go with my man, Kyle Busch. Maybe a little more bias here, but this is probably his best year since being at Gibbs to win the Daytona 500. RCR has gotten it done in the past. They're always running up front. I hope we can get it done. Well, that's going to conclude the first episode of the Rowdy Roundup. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Please leave a like and subscribe if you want to tune in each week. There will not be an episode next week because there is no race next week. So I'll see you guys next time. Go Rowdy Nation.